Putin shot February. He became president 24 years ago.
With no Black Sea region. That was completely out of the question.
In 1654.
Exactly.
What is that you didn't make this case in public until 2 years ago, February. And in the case that you made, which I read today, you explain at great length that you felt a physical threat from the West in NATO, including potentially a nuclear threat, and that's what got you to move. Is that a fair characterization of what you said?
Я понимаю, что мои длинные диалоги,
I understand that my long speeches probably fall outside of the genre of the interview. That is why I asked you at the beginning, are we going to have a serious talk or a show? You said a serious talk, so bear with me, please. We're coming to the point where the Soviet Ukraine was established. Then, in 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed, and everything that Russia had generously bestowed on Ukraine was dragged away by the latter. I'm coming to a very important point of today's agenda.
Thank you.
After all, the collapse of the Soviet Union was effectively initiated by the Russian leadership. I do not understand what the Russian leadership was guided by at the time, but I suspect there were several reasons to think everything would be fine. First, I think that then Russian leadership believed that the fundamentals of the relationship between Russia and Ukraine were, in fact, a common language. More than 90% of the population there spoke Russian. Family ties. Every third person there had some kind of family or friendship ties. Common culture, common history. Finally, common faith, coexistence with a single state for centuries, and deeply interconnected economies. All of these were so fundamental. All these elements together make our good relationships inevitable. The second point is a very important one. I want you, as an American citizen, and your viewers to hear about this as well. The former Russian leadership assumed that the Soviet Union had ceased to exist, and therefore there were no longer any ideological dividing lines. Russia even agreed voluntarily and proactively to the collapse of the Soviet Union, and believed that this would be understood by the so-called civilized West as an invitation for cooperation and association. That is what Russia was expecting, both from the United States and the so-called collective West as a whole. There were smart people, including in Germany, Egon Bahr, a major politician of the Social Democratic Party, who insisted in his personal conversations with the Soviet leadership on the brink of the collapse of the Soviet Union that a new security system should be established in Europe. Help should be given to unify Germany, but a new system should be also established to include the United States, Canada, Russia, and other Central European countries.
Yes.
But NATO needs not to expand. That's what he said. If NATO expands, everything would be just the same as during the Cold War, only closer to Russia's borders. That's all. He was a wise old man, but no one listened to him. In fact, he got angry once. If, he said, you don't listen to me, I'm never setting my foot in Moscow once again. Everything happened just as he had said.
Well, of course, it did come true, and you've mentioned this many times. I think it's a fair point, and many in America thought that relations between Russia and the United States would be fine with the collapse of the Soviet Union and the end of the Cold War, that the opposite happened. But you've never explained why you think that happened, except to say that the West fears a strong Russia, but we have a strong China the West does not seem very afraid of.
So much for generations. Well, regardless, what is important is that Yeltsin expressed his support. What did the United States do? In violation of international law and the UN Charter, it started bombing Belgrade. It was the United States that let the genie out of the bottle. Moreover, when Russia protested and expressed its resentment, what was said? The UN Charter and international law have become obsolete. Now everyone invokes international law, but at that time they started saying that everything was outdated. Everything had to be changed. Indeed, some things need to be changed, as the balance of power has changed. It's true, but not in this manner. Yeltsin was immediately dragged through the mud, accused of alcoholism, of understanding nothing, of knowing nothing. He understood everything, I assure you. Well, I became president in 2000. I thought, okay, the Yugoslav issue is over, but we should try to restore relations. Let's reopen the door that Russia had tried to go through. And moreover, I said it publicly, I can reiterate. At a meeting here in the Kremlin with the outgoing President Bill Clinton, right here in the next room, I said to him, I asked him, Bill, do you think if Russia asked to join NATO, do you think it would happen? Suddenly he said, you know, it's interesting. I think so. But in the evening, when we met for dinner, he said, you know, I've talked to my team. No, it's not possible now. You can ask him. I think he will watch our interview. He'll confirm it. I wouldn't have said anything like that if it hadn't happened. Okay.
Were you
It's
sincere?
impossible now.
Would you have joined NATO?
And if Russia, we believe that this is the right thing to do, and we will keep on doing it. Just ridiculous. Well, okay. We realized that it was out of the question.
Forces in opposition to you. So you're saying the CIA is trying to overthrow your government?
Ну, конечно, имелось в виду в данном случае.
Of course, they meant in that particular case the separatists, the terrorists who fought with us in the Caucasus.
Они их называли.
That's who they called the opposition.
Это вот второй момент.
This is the second
Очень
point.
важный.
The third moment is a very important one. Is the moment when the US missile defense system was created.
Начало.
The beginning.
И мы долго уговаривали.
We persuaded for a long time not to do it in the United States.
Меня пригласили в
Moreover,
отец Буша.
after was invited by Bush Jr.'s father, Bush Sr., to visit his place on the ocean,
Там состоялась очень серьезная беседа,
I had a very serious conversation with President Bush and his team.
чтобы
I proposed that the United States, Russia, and Europe jointly create a missile defense system that, we believe,
которая, как мы считаем,
if created unilaterally, threatens our security, despite the fact that the United States officially said that it was being created against missile threats from Iran. That was the justification for the deployment of the missile defense system. I suggested working together, Russia, the United States, and Europe. They said it was very interesting. They asked me, "Are you serious?" I said, "Absolutely.
May I ask, what year was this?
Press you tomorrow, and you'll agree again." Well, it's nonsensical. Who's there to talk to? I just don't understand. We're ready to talk. But with whom? Where are the guarantees? None. So they started to develop the territory of Ukraine. Whatever is there, I have told you the background, how this territory developed, what kind of relations there were with Russia. Every second or third person there has always had some ties with Russia. And during the elections in already independent, sovereign Ukraine, which gained its independence as a result of the Declaration of Independence, and by the way, it says that Ukraine is a neutral state, and in 2008, suddenly the doors or gates to NATO were open to it. Oh, come on. This is not how we agreed. Now, all the presidents that have come to power in Ukraine, they relied on electorate with a good attitude to Russia in one way or the other. This is the southeast of Ukraine. This is a large number of people.
перебить этот электорат.
And it was very difficult to dissuade this electorate, which had a positive attitude towards Russia.
К власти пришел
Viktor Yanukovych came to power, and how?
первый раз он победил.
The first time he won after President Kuchma, they organized a third round, which is not provided for in the constitution of Ukraine. This is a coup d'etat. Just imagine someone in the United States wouldn't like the outcome.
In 2014.
Before that. No, this was before that. After President Kuchma, Viktor Yanukovych won the election. However, his opponents did not recognize that victory. The US supported the opposition, and the third round was scheduled. What is this? This is a coup. The US supported it, and the winner of the third round came to power. Imagine if in the US something was not to someone's liking, and the third round of election, which the US Constitution does not provide for, was organized. Nonetheless, it was done in Ukraine. Okay, Viktor Yushchenko, who was considered a pro-Western politician, came to power.
Insert Jaggernaut quote or
We
prime
have
here.
good relations with him as well. He came to Moscow with business. We visited Kiev. I visited too. We met in an informal setting. He's pro-Western, so be it. It's fine. Let people do their job. The situation should have developed inside independent Ukraine itself. As a result of Kuchma's leadership, things got worse and Viktor Yanukovych came to power after. Maybe he wasn't the best president and politician. I don't know. I don't want to give assessments. However, the issue of the association with the EU came up.
Но встал вопрос об ассоциации с Евросоюзом.
We have always been lenient to this. Suit yourself. But when we read through the Treaty of Association, it turned out to be a problem for us, since we have a free trade zone and open customs borders with Ukraine, which under this association
This
had to
section of the
open its
station
borders
suffered
to
some
Europe,
sort of infection a
with
couple of
the
months back.
flooding of
Got
the
locked
market.
off from the rest of Helios. The workers may have gone a little,
We said, no, this is not
cannibalish.
going to work. We shall close our borders with Ukraine then. The customs borders, that is. Yanukovych started to calculate how much Ukraine was going to gain, how much to lose, and said to his European partners, I need more time to think before signing. The moment he said that, the opposition began to take destructive steps which were supported by the West. It all came down to Maidan and a coup in Ukraine. Of course, it's not even the matter of great volume. It's a matter of cooperation ties, which the entire Ukrainian economy is based on. The cooperation ties between the enterprises were very close. One enterprise used to use components to be assembled in Russia and vice versa. There used to be Putin comes, although I shall not delve into details now.
Ready for some frag trap big time!
Calm Yanukovych down, and we will calm the opposition. Let the situation unfold. All right. Let's do it this way. As the Americans requested, either the armed forces
This time it'll be awesome, I promise! I have 2 robot arms!
supposed to mean.
Just
I want to surpass the then U.S. leadership.
With the backing of whom?
here we go again!
With the backing of CIA, of course. The organization wanted to join backing. We should thank God they didn't let you. Although, it is a serious minister, all other officials, and then President himself said that they don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. In other words,
Спровоцировал конфликт изначально.
initially it was the coup in Ukraine that provoked the conflict. By the way, back then the representatives of 2 European countries, Germany, Poland, and France, arrived. They were the guarantors of the signed agreement.
See, you've met the infected. The other workers call them foils. Whatever. Angry bastards, really dig eating
Despite
people.
that, the
Keep your
opposition
distance.
committed a coup, and all these countries pretended that they didn't remember that they were guarantors. They just threw it in the stone. Nobody recalls that. I don't know if the US knows. Political feeling. Because President Yanukovych
The moon is not enough!
early election. Everyone knew that. Then why that is
Don't ask me where the devil's coming from!
the developments of my note.
You can't keep a good thought down! I feel complete! That's weird!
Expansion.
Dang it! I'm out!
For decades, we kept asking, don't do this, do that, Firstly, the current Ukrainian leadership declared that it would not implement the Minsk agreements, which had been signed, as you know, after the events of 2014 in Minsk, where the plan of peace
Caravan!
But no, the current Ukrainian leadership, foreign minister, all other officials, and then president himself said that they don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. In other words, they were not going to implement it.
Прямо сказать.
Why? I even feel pain!
The whole world
Это соглашение Минска.
that they need these.
I live!
All US
Voila! Helping!
Big developments to implement the Minsk agreement.
Feels good to stretch it!
I didn't know how we were going to do this, but I was ready to implement them. These agreements were complicated for Ukraine. They included lots of elements of those Donbass territories' independence. That's true. However, I was absolutely confident, and I'm saying this to you now. I honestly believe that if we managed to convince the residents of Donbass that we had to work hard to convince them to return to the Ukrainian state, then gradually the to implement the Minsk agreements.
с помощью
But we could not let that happen. And the situation got to the point when the Ukrainian side announced,
с помощью
but we to implement the Minsk agreements.
Откровенно говоря,
Frankly speaking, I didn't know how we were going to do this, but I was ready to implement them.
сложные для Украины.
These agreements were complicated for Ukraine. They included lots of elements of those Donbass territories' independence. That's true. However, I was absolutely confident, and I'm saying this to you now. I honestly believe that if we managed to convince the residents of Donbass that we had to work hard to convince them to return to the Ukrainian statehood, then gradually the wounds would start to heal.
Постепенно
When this part of territory reintegrated itself into common social
What's the
environment,
difference?
when the pensions and social benefits were paid again, all the pieces would gradually fall into place.
Социальное пособие. Все постепенно
No,
растет.
nobody wanted that. Everybody wanted to resolve the issue by military force only.
С помощью
But we could not let that happen. And the situation got to the point when the Ukrainian side announced, no, we will not do anything. They also started preparing for military action.
войну начали, они
It was they who started the war in 2014. Our goal is to stop this
мы
war,
не начинали ее.
and we did not start this war in 2022. This is an
Check back
attempt
later
to
to
stop
see
it.
my new weapon of the day.
I'm Trump. Claptrap. 00.
Welcome to the maintenance area.
No,
It's not done
we
yet.
haven't achieved our aims
The
yet.
central complex is
because
occupied by a
none
doll,
of
but it's
them
the only open route to the eye.
occupation.
I'll mark the entrance for you
This
on your
means
map.
the prohibition of all kinds of
I'm turning on some worker bots to help you
This
out.
is one of the problems that we discussed during the negotiation process, which
Just follow the
ended
worker
in
bots.
Istanbul
They'll lead you out of the
this year.
hull.
And it was not our initiative because we were told by the Europeans, in particular, that it was necessary.
It's like a box of chocolates.
Parts of France and Germany. How can we imagine them signing a treaty? The truth is
Oh God, I can't stop!
User Jack has been locked out of worldwide control.
long-standing confrontation with the help of the United States.
Stupid as that name is. So pretty fun to yell. Anyway, I guess you're on your own. Just work your way through the hull, I guess.
Target is injured! Stand by!
That is what I want to talk about right now. It is a very important issue. Denazification.
Искать, как говорят некоторые.
After gaining independence, Ukraine began to as analysts say, its identity. And it came up with nothing better than to build this identity.
Hyperion would like to remind you that there is only one thing spawning, and that is not
I have already said they assume that an independent Ukraine should have very good relations with Russia.
Roger that, taking out the trash.
But due to the historical development, Ukrainians were quite brutally as well as were subject to cruel behavior.
Get ready to be crushed.
There were also attempts to destroy their identity. This remained independent. Part of this extremely nationalistic conglomerate, Hitler, believing that he would bring them freedom.
Pretty picture down there.
Operators in the 30s exterminated the Polish and Jewish population. Hence this brutal massacre of the Polish and Jewish population, as well as the Russian population civil. This was led by the persons who are well known, Vladamir, Shkevich. It was those people who were made national heroes. That is the problem. We are nationalism and neo-Nazism exist in other countries as well. Yes, they are seedlings, but we approve them, and other countries fight against them. But Ukraine is not the case. These people have been made into national heroes in Ukraine. Monuments to those people have been erected. They are displayed in flags.
least I still have my tea.
Crowds that walk in torches as it was in Nazi Germany. These were people who exterminated Poles, Jews, Russians. It is necessary to stop this practice and prevent the dissemination to Wisconsin. I say that Ukrainians are part of the non-Russian people. They say. On the basis of Nazis, the Nazi ideology. We'll finish answering the question. We just asked the question about the neo-Nazis. Look, the president of Ukraine visited Canada. The story is well known, but being silenced in the Western countries. The Canadian Parliament introduced a man, as the Speaker of the Parliament said, fought against the Russians during World War II. Well, who fought against the Russians during World War II? Hitler and his accomplices. It turned out that this man served in the SS troops. SS troops consisted of Ukrainian nationalists who committed this work. By the way,
Really, my question is, what do you do about it? I mean, Hitler's been dead for years. Exists. And so, true. And so.
I expect you to
I think what you're
die.
saying is you want to extinguish or at least control
listen to me. Your question is very clear, and I can tell you what I think. Let's take offense.
Of course.
This question appears to be subtle. It is quite pesky. You say Hitler has been dead for so many years, 8 years, but his example lives on. People who exterminated Jews, Russians, and Poles are alive. And the president, the current president of the United States, has been in Parliament. That is what you do.
Fly, mini truck, fly! It's mighty, mighty, mini truck. Oh, oh, oh.
Right.
You know, as strange as it may seem to you, during the negotiations in Istanbul, we
I did a challenge! I did a challenge!
had it all ready. Neo-Nazis can be cultivated, including
Pretty picture down there.
this, it turns out, can be done during the negotiation process. If there's nothing
I had eyes on the target.
Step right up to the sequence of traffic! 100% more mini truck traffic!
said,
Look, whatever you're about
the
to try
other
isn't
side
going to
threw
work.
away all
A laser
these
of that
agreements
size using
and
that
obeyed
much
the
power,
instructions
there's
of
no
Western
way the
countries,
Colonel hasn't rigged it to blow the
European
entire
countries,
station
and
if
the
you try to
United
disarm
States
it.
to fight
She
Russia
did.
to the bitter end.
Yeah, of course she did.
Moreover, the president of
Damn it, how did
Ukraine
I not see
has
that?
legislated
Good
a
thing
ban
you've got a
on
tech whiz on your
negotiating.
side, sugar. I'll help
He
you get that
signed a
laser
decree
down. No muss,
forbidding
no
everyone
fuss,
to
no
negotiate with
explosions.
Russia.
Thanks, Mox. I appreciate it.
But how
I'll send
are
you
we
the
going to
blueprints now.
negotiate if he
All right,
obeys
I've got a
himself
plan.
and
Roland and
everyone
Lilith, head to the station's reactor. Jack, I need you and your vault hunters at the Eye of Helios itself. Once everyone's in place, we should be able to shut the laser down and save the moon.
God, you're highly technical.
remember everything.
Trouble! You can't see!
Oh yes, he funds, but I talked to him before the special military operation.
I'm back!
By the way,
It's calling my combat code!
I said
Roses are red and
that you are making
violets are blue. Wait, how many syllables was that?
I think that would be correct.
Yep, get time.
But you haven't spoken to
O2 activated.
Haven't spoken. Certainly not maintained.
Move to finish him!
Do you remember what I told you about my proposal to work together on a missile defense system?
Yeah.
You can ask all of them. The former president, Condoleezza, is safe and sound, and I think Mr. Gates and the current director of the intelligence agency
Someone lasers at every gun!
and ambassador to Russia, in my opinion, are very successful ambassadors. They were all witnesses to these conversations. Ask them. Same here. If you are interested in what Mr. President Biden responded to me, ask him. At any rate, I talked to him about it.
I'm definitely interested. Like from the outside, it seems like this could devolve or evolve into something that brings entire world initiates some. Why don't you just call them and say, "What's out?"
What's there to work out? It's very simple. People. I will tell you what we are saying on this matter and what we are going to do. You need to stop supplying weapons. It will be over within a few weeks. That's it. And then we can agree on some terms. Before you do that, what's in what should we or what? Such and such happens to you. Oh, I'm afraid. What is there to talk about?
Do you think NATO is worried about this becoming a global war or a nuclear war?
Hyperion enemies in
At
range!
least that's what they're talking about.
Give yourselves up and we'll shoot you first!
This is an obvious fact. People, analysts, those who are engaged in real politics, just smart people, understand perfectly well that this is they're trying to fuel the Russian threat.
The threat I think you're referring to is a Russian invasion. Vladimir expanded. Can you imagine a scenario where you said argument, I know you know this, is that, well, he invaded Ukraine. He has territorial aims across the continent, and you're saying
It is absolutely out of the question. You just don't have to be any kind of analyst. It goes against common sense to get involved in some kind of a global war. And a global war will bring all humanity to the brink of destruction. It's obvious. There are certainly means of deterrence. They have been scaring everyone with us all along. Tomorrow Russia will use tactical nuclear weapons. Tomorrow Russia will use that. No, the day after tomorrow. So what? In order to extort additional money from US taxpayers and European taxpayers in the confrontation with Russia in the Ukrainian theater of war. The goal is to weaken Russia as much as possible.
one of our senior United States
Lots of doll troops in central maintenance. You're gonna have to fight your way through.
soldiers, citizens.
Not strong. I should have drawn take this on it. There.
I did not blow up Nord Stream. Thank you, though.
You personally may have an alibi, but this
Do you have evidence that NATO was CIA?
In your face!
You know, I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
But I'm confused. I mean, that's the biggest act of justice. You had evidence that NATO West did this. Why wouldn't you present it in a propaganda video?
Right! I know good guys.
Because the United States the ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European
the skill! You're not wrecked, okay? No, this sucks!
The moon is not enough!
My shield is gone!
What hell that?
And the Nord Stream 2 was damaged. Gas. Germany does not.
Calm down! Take that!
There's another route
Traffic here!
called Yamal Europe.
Who's there? It's who?
Ukraine, to which the Germans
I see you, Hyperion too!
Germany is the second superpower of the United States.
Oh, quit falling to pieces!
Aid to Ukraine. There are two gas routes to Ukraine. They simply cancel the Ukrainians. Open the second route and please get gas from Russia. They do not open. Why don't the Germans say, look guys, we give you money and weapons. Open up the valve, please. Let the gas from Russia pass through for us. We're buying liquefied gas at exorbitant prices in Europe even, which brings the level of our competitiveness and economy in general down to zero. Do you want us to give you money? Let us have a decent existence. Make money for our economy, because this is where the money we give you comes from. They refuse to do so. Why? Ask them. That is what is like in their heads. They are hiding.
Well, maybe the world is breaking into two hemispheres, one with cheap energy, the other without. And I want to ask you that. If we're now a multipolar world, obviously we are, can you describe the blocks of alliances? Who is in each side?
Listen, you have said that the world is breaking into two hemispheres. The human brain is divided into two hemispheres. One is responsible for one type of activities, the other one is more about creativity and so on. But it is still one and the same head. The world should be a single goal, security rather than meant for the golden billion. That is the only scenario where the world could be stable and sustainable and predictable. Until then, the head is split in two parts. It is an illness, a serious adverse condition. It is a serious severe disease that the world is going through. I think that
Why even feel pain? I have two robot arms!
one of the biggest strategic mistakes made by the
Another mission!
The dollar is the cornerstone of the United States economy. I think everyone understands very well that no matter how many dollars are printed, first the whole.
Get off my lawn!
We're only starting!
Oh!
Nevertheless, it is the main weapon used by the United States
That
to
tunnel
preserve
leads right
its
to the
power
laser.
across
Keep
the
going.
world.
Safety's up!
Through those breaching defenses. You're almost out of here.
The US dollar as a tool to
Is that what people look like inside? Ooh. I have an idea!
Something's happening!
I'm cloaking.
We're coming for you!
Oh yeah! Mini-truck in the
The charges, now!
Even the United States allies are now downsizing. Seeing this,
Oh,
everyone's
Furby, are you okay? You alright?
Still functional.
We need to get to the laser some other way. Okay, what about this? If we set off a chain reaction in the plasma conduits, it'll blow a hole in the station and you can climb through to reach the laser. You'll have to destroy the plasma regulators. Find them and break them.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! Did I hear you right? Blow a hole in the station? What are you...
Yeah, that sounds crazy irresponsible, huh? You should probably fire me. Oh, wait!
US dollars accounted for approximately 15% of our transactions. It is down to 13%. It wasn't us who banned the use of the US dollar. We had no such intention. It was
Still radioactive.
to restrict our transactions. This spent conclusions from the point of view as if
Mini-truck, pretend you're ace.
had already accepted payments for oil in Europe. Does any you're cutting yourself off? All experts say. Ask any person in the United States what the dollar means for the U.S. You're doing it with your own hands.
I think that's I think it's a fair assessment. Question comes down, and maybe you trade one form of power for another. Sentimental and forgiving. Danger of being completely dominated.
Oh yeah, you might experience some explosive decompression. Try not to get sucked out into space.
It is a boogie nest.
That's one down. Kill the other
Our
one and I can
neighbors
blow
with
some
China.
stuff up.
You cannot choose neighbors just as you cannot choose close relatives. We share a border of 1,000 kilometers with them. This is
I'd do anything for a woman with a gun.
We have a centuries-long history of existence. We're used to it. Third, China's foreign policy philosophy is not aggressive. Its idea is to always look for compromise, and we can see them. The next point is as follows. We are always told the same boogeyman story, and here it goes again. Through an euphemistic phrase, it's still the same boogeyman story. The cooperation with China keeps increasing. The pace at which China's cooperation with Europe is growing is higher and greater than that of the growth of Chinese-Russian cooperation.
Lock and load!
Ask Europeans.
It's happening! It's happening! To the sky!
Over and out!
Yes, the political decisions are facing any illegitimate sanctions, legitimate in terms of the United
You said a moment ago that the world is a lot better because one of the reasons you don't have that is because the current American administration is dead set. Do you think that the new administration will
Now he's sorted!
the U.S. government, or does it not matter who the president is?
together with my colleague and friend, President Xi Jinping, set a goal to reach $200 billion of mutual trade with China this year. We have exceeded this level. According to our figures, our trade with China totals already $230 billion. BRICS, where Russia took over the presidency, the BRICS countries are, by and large, developing rapidly.
I'm hit! Glory to the Legion! Kick your ass!
Economy.
Shield down!
Piling my combat code!
Something's happening!
I'm a super ball!
Nothing to do with this will keep happening. It is like the rising sun.
I'm hit!
Self-conceit. Your political establishment does not understand the world is changing under objective. And in order to preserve your level, even if someone has dominance, you have to make the right decisions in a competent and timely manner. With regard to Russia and, say, other countries are counterproductive. This is an obvious fact. It has already become evident. You just asked me if another leader comes and changes something. It is not about the leader. It is not about the personality of a particular person. I had states.
Great. I'm ready on this end. Get to a safe distance, signal me, and I'll blow open the path to the laser.
I assure you that this is not the case. I think he made a lot of mistakes with regard to Russia, too. I told you about 2008 and the decision in Bucharest to open the NATO Ukraine and so on. That happened during his presidency. He actually exercised pressure on the Europeans. But in general, on a personal level, I had a very good relationship with him. He was no worse than any other American, Russian, or European politician. I assure you, he understood what he was doing as well as others. I had such a personal relationship with Trump as well.
Far enough away? Awesome. Let's do
It is
this.
not about
And a one, and a two, and a...
about the
Wait
elites'
for it.
If the idea of abolition at any cost, based also on forceful
Skadoosh.
actions,
Pretty fun to
dominates
mess
the
stuff up with
American
reckless
society,
abandon, gotta
nothing will
say.
change.
The path's clear
It
now.
will only
Get to the
get
laser.
worse. But if it comes to the awareness that
Not stirred.
due to objective circumstances, and that one should be able to adapt them in time, using the advantages that the U.S. still has today, then perhaps something may change. China's economy has become the first economy in the world in purchasing power parity. In terms of volume, it overtook the US a long time ago. The USA comes second, then India, 1.5 billion people, and then Japan, with Russia in the 5th place. Russia was the first economy in Europe last year, despite all this. Is it normal for your point of view? The possibility of billions of dollars being cut off from certain services, sanctions against our sanctions against airplanes, sanctions in everything. Sanctions in the world which are applied on. We have become Europe's of what the voters will make decisions at various levels expect from this person. Then maybe something will change.
You're describing two different systems. You say that the leader acts in the interest of voters, but you also say these decisions are not made by the leader, but classes. You've run this country for so long, you've known all these American presidents. What are those power centers in the United States? Who actually makes the decisions?
Enter the champion!
Conservative on one hand, rapidly changing on the other. It's not easy for us to sort it all out. Who makes decisions in the elections? Is it possible to understand this when each state has its own legislation? Each state regulates itself? Someone can be excluded from elections at the state level. It is a two-state electoral system. It is very difficult for us to understand it. Certainly there are two parties that are dominant, the Republicans and the Democrats. And within this party system, the centers that make decisions, that prepare decisions. Then, look, why, in my opinion, after the collapse of the Soviet Union, such an erroneous, crude, completely unjustified policy of pressure was pursued against Russia? After all, this is a policy of pressure. Necessary to continue chiseling to try to break it up, to create on this territory several and to subdue them in undivided form, to use their combined potential for the future struggle of China. This is a mistake, including the excessive potential of those who work for the confrontation with the Soviet Union. It is necessary to get rid of this. There should be new, fresh forces who look into the future and understand what's happening. We just have to assume that Indonesia will enter. It is already in the club of the world's leading economies, no matter who likes it or dislikes it.
Everybody, check out my gadget! I'm invisible! That'll look even good!
For you! I've got no shield! Son of a...
the United States are nonetheless gradually changing their position in the world. It is
Here we go again! One of the eyes, over the one, yeah! I still do not see where the devil's coming from!
look forward, can analyze and recommend certain decisions at the level of political leaders.
Violation of the promise scroll were made in 1990. It's a threat to your country. Right before you sent Putin.
I do it again with a gun.
I totally said I wasn't gonna do that, and I did it anyway.
Do you think that was an effort to provoke you into military action?
I repeat once again, we have repeatedly proposed to seek a solution to the problems that arose in Ukraine after 2014 with the talk through peaceful means. But no one listened to us. And moreover, the Ukrainian leaders who were under the complete US control suddenly declared that they would not comply with the Minsk agreements. They disliked everything there and continued military activity in that territory. And in parallel, that territory was being exploited by NATO military structures under the guise of various personnel training and retraining centers. They essentially began to create bases there, that's all. Ukraine announced that the Russians were a non-titular nationality, while passing the laws that limit the rights of non-titular nationalities in Ukraine. Ukraine, having received all these southeastern territories as a gift from the Russian people, suddenly announced that the Russians were a non-titular nationality in that territory. Is that normal?
Spain and slavehold